This week on Jerusalem Dateline, the book of Isaiah talks about a time when the eyes of the blind will be opened and the lame will leap like a deer. Today those words are coming true through technology like a bionic eye, a breathalyzer that detects cancer, and a device that helps paraplegics run marathons. Thanks to some remarkable medical breakthroughs by doctors and scientists in Israel. Hello and welcome to this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell. Life expectancy here in Israel is 4 years higher than the United States. One reason is the many medical breakthroughs that have come from the Jewish state. They include groundbreaking cancer and diabetes treatments and technology to help the blind see. CBN's Gordon Robinson tells us more.
On January 8, 2011, a gunman opened fire in Tucson, Arizona. His target was Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, who was shot in the head at point-blank range. To stop the bleeding, EMTs used a special bandage that puts pressure on wounds and prevents infection. First responders said the bandage saved Giffords' life, and it's one of many medical breakthroughs that got its start in Israel.
Israel has one of the highest life expectancies in the world. Actually, our life expectancy here is about 4 years longer than the US. So if anyone wants to come move to Israel, on average, you're going to add 4 years to your life.
From fighting cancer, to giving sight to the blind, to making the lame walk again, Israel is leading the world in medical innovation. Every day, millions of Americans use some kind of medical treatment that came from Israel. From Sambucol, a cold and flu medicine made from elderberries, to amniocentesis, used to detect prenatal abnormalities. There's a wireless laser that will someday replace the dentist drill, and the pill can, a tiny camera in a capsule. It takes pictures from inside your colon, eliminating the need for a colonoscopy.
Millions and millions and millions of these procedures are done every year. What if you could make them painless, pain-free, and non-invasive, and take a lot of the risk out of that procedure? That's a classic Israeli solution to a problem.
In the field of medicine, finding a cure for cancer is one of the biggest goals. And although a full cure is still in the future, Israeli scientists are making huge advances. The news is full of stories about dogs who can smell everything from epilepsy to cancer in their owners. So one scientist took that idea and refined it.
If the dogs can smell cancer, we for sure can do it in a little bit more sophisticated way. We can communicate with the device much better than we can communicate with the dog.
Hossam Haik developed an early warning system for cancer. The nano artificial nose can detect tumors before they're even visible on X-rays, just by analyzing a patient's breath.
The device can give the results within 5 minutes to 1 hour, more or less. Many diagnostic tools require to swallow a radioactive or active material in order to make the diagnosis possible. We don't expose it to any risky X-rays or beams that might make cancer by themselves.
The artificial nose is still in clinical trials, where the accuracy rates range from 86 to 97%. And it's also being customized to sniff out other diseases as well, like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and multiple sclerosis.
Our ultimate vision is to bring this device in an inexpensive and very portable way to everybody, whether these people live in the Western countries or they live in the third world, because we believe that we have to fulfill a little bit democracy.
Other Israeli scientists are focusing on the treatment of cancer, and they're doing everything from burning tumors with thermal heat to freezing them with liquid nitrogen. One doctor is even developing a vaccine for cancer. The Immucin vaccine trains the body's immune cells to attack a specific molecule found only in cancer. And since only the cancer cells are targeted, the vaccine has no side effects like chemo and radiation. With one shot every few months, the body's immune system will keep it under control.
We're just educating the immune system to do what it, would try to do itself. We're not inventing anything.
In the first clinical trial, the vaccine successfully triggered the immune system in all 15 patients.
You will see in the future, I think we enter a field which is very attractive, and we just scratched the beginning of it. I think we have a lot of more things to come, and I'm very encouraged by what I've seen.
In 1829, the introduction of Braille revolutionized the way blind people read and write. Today, Israeli inventors are taking that revolution a step further. For people with limited sight, there's a new device called the Orcam. It's a pocket-sized computer linked to a small camera that clips onto your glasses. The camera sees what you see, and when you point your finger at something, the Orcam will read it for you. Everything from menus to street signs. And for those with total vision loss, there's Project Ray, the first ever smartphone for the blind. With the tap of a finger, users can make phone calls, send texts, and even surf the web. While these inventions are giving blind people more independence, another one is actually restoring their sight. A company called NanoRetina is focusing on people who have lost their sight from macular degeneration. They've created the bionic eye, an implant that provides users with grayscale vision, a big improvement over total blindness.
Necessity is mother of all inventions. And Israelis sometimes tend to think outside of the box. And if there is an obstacle, we do not hit our forehead at the obstacle, but we go around it.
Later on in the broadcast, we'll have more on medical breakthroughs in Israel, including a new technology that's giving the lame a chance to walk again. But first, our weekly news wrap-up brings you the important events from Israel and the Middle East. That's next.
You had a grandpa named Pop, right?
They died when I was your age.
I saw him in heaven.
What if an ordinary boy...
Is this him?
That's Pop.
Your son had a near-death experience.
...discovered the answer to life's most extraordinary question.
Do you think my son went to heaven?
He told me everything was all right.
Based on the incredible true story.
We all want to be supportive.
I want to believe him. But everything he talks about is impossible.
Will you believe?
You saw heaven? It's beautiful.
Heaven is for real. See it this Easter. Rated PG.
Hi, I'm Wayne Allen Root, former presidential candidate, conservative national media personality, best-selling author, and true blue patriot. I call what we're living in today the Great Depression 2. More Americans now receive government entitlements than work full-time. The typical family earns less today than in 1989. I understand exactly what's happening to this economy and how you can protect yourself. So I sat down and taped a 30-minute DVD on the topic with all the critical steps needed to ensure Americans can both survive and thrive in 2014. It's called The Timeless Truth About Money, and it's only available in this special TV offer by calling the number below or by visiting online. Thanks to Swiss America, you'll finally understand the true goal of Obamacare, how our trillions in debt will sink the economy, and most importantly, why your golden years require a whole new golden strategy. Call now.
Start planning your journey to the Holy Land. Come to Jerusalem. Breathe the air Jesus breathed that very night in the Garden of Gethsemane. Walk in his footsteps to Golgotha. Step inside the tomb. See the stone where his body lay. Glory to God, he is risen. Ask your pastor or visit goisrael.com to learn more about making the journey that will transform your faith in God and his word. Experience Israel. You'll never be the same.
Welcome back to Jerusalem Dateline and our weekly news wrap of events in Israel and the Middle East. Secretary of State John Kerry says he hasn't given up on the Middle East peace talks. An April 29 deadline to extend the talks is in jeopardy after Israel refused to release 104 Palestinian prisoners. That's because the Palestinians renewed their push to seek UN recognition and act Israel regards as outside the peace process.
Unilateral steps on their part will be answered by unilateral steps from our side. We are willing to continue with the talks, but not at any cost.
The leader of the Arab League says Kerry told them he believes the impasse will be resolved soon. The international community is hailing Afghanistan's presidential election as a triumph of democracy over violence. Millions of people voted despite Taliban threats of mass violence. Police report at least 2 suicide bombings, but the major attacks they had feared did not happen. Maybe several weeks before the next president is announced, and the winner needs to secure more than 50% of the votes, or there'll be a runoff election in May. The U.S. Senate unanimously passed a measure banning a former hostage taker, and now Iran's top pick to be its ambassador to the United Nations, from setting foot in the U.S. Hamid Abu Talibi was involved in the 1979 hostage crisis at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. He insists his role was only that of a translator and negotiator. But to Texas Senator Ted Cruz, the bill's sponsor, the nomination is, quote, a deliberate and unambiguous insult to the United States. Negotiations over Iran's nuclear program are underway in Vienna, but reports of a potential multi-billion-dollar deal between Iran and Russia pose an obstacle to reaching an agreement. A Russian newspaper reports Russia plans to buy 500,000 barrels of Iranian oil a day, violating an export limit set under the nuclear deal reached in Geneva last November. The plan could provide Tehran with billions of dollars, undermining the impact of years of U.S. and international sanctions that have crippled Iran's economy. The U.S. is considering potentially deal-breaking sanctions if a contract is completed. A well-respected Dutch priest has been murdered in the Syrian city of Homs. Father Francis van der Lugt lived in Syria for more than 40 years. When the civil war began, the Jesuit priest refused to leave, instead staying in a rebel-held area to continue his work with refugees and Syrians. Father van der Lugt's murder is highlighting fears among Christians in Syria. In recent months, hardline rebel groups have become more influential, including groups linked to Al-Qaeda. And as their power has grown, Christians have increasingly become targets of attacks. The Israeli Air Force is crucial defending the Jewish state, but it's dealing with a serious aviation problem right now. Every migration season, pilots have to work around a sky full of birds. 500 million birds migrate twice a year through Israel, the only land bridge between Eurasia in the north and Africa in the south.
The soaring birds are the main problem for the Air Force because soaring birds are usually big birds, big and heavy birds. And hitting a big and heavy bird, this is really something you don't want to experience.
Israel has the heaviest bird migration in the world and a very large air force that trains in a tiny airspace. That's why there's such a big conflict between the birds and the planes. Major Oded Ovadia commands the IAF Birdwatching and Flight Safety Department. He says the Israeli Air Force suffers up to 250 bird strikes a year and has lost a number of planes over the years. Fortunately, things have improved recently.
The main change was in the beginning of the 80s when we implemented regulations on low-level flights during migration season.
Like other countries, Ovadia says, Israel manages the bird habitats at air bases, chasing away unwanted birds. They also use radar to locate migrating birds.
The real-time warning system is very unique to this country. I don't know other country that try and follow birds during migration and give real-time warnings to aircrafts en route.
Tracking radar could have made a tremendous difference in 2009 and what became known as the miracle on the Hudson. U.S. Airways Flight 1549 ran into a flock of Canadian geese shortly after taking off from LaGuardia Airport.
Okay, which runway would you like at Teterboro? We're going to be in the Hudson.
The plane lost engine thrust, turned back, and ended up ditching in the Hudson River. All 155 passengers and crew evacuated safely. Lieutenant Lior Daron is a tower commander at the Hudson Air Force Base near Ashdod.
Probably the birds will go through the path either north to south or the other way. And also there's the flocks of birds on the runway itself. They stay there, and when the planes take off, they just fly in the air, and it's really jeopardized the colliding with the planes.
Drone must guide the planes to safety.
We take the aircrafts from different paths so they won't collide with the bird migration here. We can do that with a radar that we see the flocks of birds in the control tower region, and we take the planes to landing in a safety way.
It's even tougher at night with no visibility. And what do they do if they can't see?
We just pray that they won't collide each other.
Up next, more on the incredible Israeli technology that's changing medicine as we know it, even helping the lame to walk.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Now we continue with our story on the amazing medical breakthroughs that are happening in the state of Israel. Israeli scientists say one reason for their success is because they're always looking for new solutions. One of those solutions is giving hope to people who were told they would never walk again. Once again, here's Gordon Robertson.
I couldn't understand why wheelchairs are the only solution for paralyzed person.
In 1997, a meat gopher was paralyzed in a car accident. And since then, he's been on a mission to put the wheelchair out of business. So he designed something called the Rewalk, a brace that uses motors to help paraplegics walk and even drive a car. Ironically, Gopher couldn't use his own invention, since he's a quadriplegic and the device requires the use of the arms. But he soon found a veteran who was more than willing to try it.
When the doctor told me that I'm lucky to be alive, but my injury would leave me paralyzed, everything became dark.
Radi Kayof is a former Israeli paratrooper who was injured in South Lebanon.
In one of the rehabilitation centers in central Israel, I met Amit Gopher. He told me that he had developed a device that helps paraplegic in my condition to walk. I didn't believe I'd be able to stand up. After I tried it and the device made me stand up, I was amazed. My daughter was 3 years old back then. She looked at me and said, "Dad, you are tall." That made my day.
The bottom line is seeing the families. It is very exciting. When they see their beloved one stand, then you want to cry. This is the first time I was really excited.
Roddy started using the ReWalk 6 years ago, and since then, the device has gone global. In 2012, a young woman named Claire Lomas used the ReWalk in the London Marathon. She walked the 26 miles in 17 days, earning her the nickname Bionic Woman.
It's a moment I'm going to treasure for the rest of my life.
I dance 4 times a week, and I love it very much. And I knew that I'm not going to stop just because I am diabetic.
Shai Barshira is a dancer, a student, and a type 1 diabetic. She is also a pioneer. Shai was one of the first people to try a new Israeli medical device, the artificial pancreas. It's still in the experimental stage, and right now it's just a laptop with a series of sensors that monitor the patient's blood sugar. Eventually, the laptop will be replaced by a microchip and an insulin pump. Dr. Moshe Philip is one of the developers.
I promised my patient many times that one day they will get rid of their diabetes. So, despite the fact that we are not able to cure diabetes yet, we would like to enable our patient to live their life without thinking of their diabetes all the time. You have to understand type 1 diabetes, especially during childhood, is something that keeps you busy the entire day. It's there all the time.
Dr. Philip oversaw clinical trials for children in Israel, Slovenia, and Germany. But Shai was the first one to use the device at home without medical supervision.
Each time that my levels drop, it gives me a very, very strong alarm that tells me that I have to eat right away. And if my levels go very high, it fixes my levels. It calculates itself how much insulin I should take, and it gives an automatic order to my pump to give me that insulin. And I'm all balanced, even more balanced than I was when I went to sleep. And that's amazing.
I think we are going to change the life of our patients. And this is the entire idea, to bring back the spontaneity to the life of our patient, to free them from being busy with thinking about how to control their blood glucose level all the time, and especially during the night.
I feel there is so much effort made to help the diabetics feel like, you know what, you have this disease, but don't worry. We're trying to cure it, we're trying to make the treatment better, more comfortable, and we'll get there. Feeling that I help other people too, it gives me the strength to keep on. If I am a part of something big, I feel that I'm not alone in this business, and it gives me a lot of hope.
To see more great stories from our Made in Israel series, just go to our Jerusalem Dateline website. Find it at cbnnews.com. Coming up, health problems left this construction worker penniless and forced him to quit his job. We'll show you how a Christian charity helped him start again.
Do you have an idea for an invention or a new product? Brian and Alice Jagosh, the inventors of the halftime drill driver, did. They invented a power drill attachment that lets you drill, flip, and drive in seconds. Brian and Alice licensed their invention to the company that brought you the Snuggie, and it's now selling in major retailers nationwide. Look for the Invent Help Caveman on the package. If you have an invention that you would like to try to patent and submit to companies for possible review and want free information on how Invent Help may be able to assist you, call now. Invent Help is America's largest inventor service company with sales offices in more than 60 cities nationwide. Call Invent Help today for free information. Our clients made a financial gain with their invention, but this is just their individual result. Brian and Alice's experience is not typical, as only a very small number of inventions are licensed or sold in stores.
For your free inventors information, call 1-800-559-8567. That's 1-800-559-8567.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real Naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Finally this week, when Abu Naif left his job in construction, he hoped to become a shepherd to provide for his wife and 6 children. But sheep are expensive, and he had no place to keep them. That's when CBN's Operation Blessing stepped in.
Abu Naif and his wife have been married 30 years and have had 6 children together. For decades, Abu Naif did construction. He made a good living, but most of the money was spent on his wife's medical bills.
My wife developed a blood condition that left her very tired and weak. She went to the hospital and saw doctors all the time. We spent everything we had on doctors.
She eventually recovered, but the family was left destitute. When I met them, they told me a heart condition and other medical problems forced Abu Naif to stop construction work altogether.
I could only do little jobs here and there. I tried to make enough money to feed my family. Sometimes I would ask for credit. Sometimes I begged people to give me a little bit of money. That was very hard. I was always afraid that one day I would not be able to provide for them.
He did say there was something he knew he could do to support his family, but it was only a distant dream.
I would like to have a few sheep, but they are very expensive. We barely have enough money to survive, so we could never save enough for sheep.
So Abu Naif and his family want to raise sheep. And as you can see, they've got plenty of land to do it. So the first big consideration is, where are they going to keep them? So the first thing we did is build a big addition onto the back of their house. And we're starting off their herd with half a dozen sheep. It took some doing to wrangle the sheep, but soon we were on our way to Abu Naif's. When we arrived, he and his family knew their lives had changed.
I'm very happy. 100 thanks to God for this blessing. This is a wonderful day for all of us.
Abu Naif will breed his sheep and sell the lambs, and the milk from the sheep will help feed his family.
I used to see families with a few sheep giving milk to their children or making cheese. It made me sad that I couldn't do that for my family. Now I can. All I ever wanted was a simple life, bread to eat and water for my family. That's enough. Now we have that and more. I want to thank all of the people who helped us. We are very grateful.
That's it for this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell. We'll see you next time right here in Jerusalem.